How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So, today we're continuing our adventures through the Kanto remakes in order to decide the most legitimate legendary of them all, and today's is Entei. A fire-type Pokemon in Kanto, eh? Well, we're not usually in for a good time with that, but Entei's one of the lucky few that gets to start with a special non-fire type move in Bite. And it has a stab move in Ember at level 11, giving me some decent early game options. But later on I'll be able to destroy anything in my path with the likes of Flamethrower, Solar Beam, Return, and Dig, as well as the likes of Calm Mind, and we all know how crazy that move is. There's honestly not as much range in terms of Entei's moves in comparison to other legendaries, but we have enough to where we should be in a good position. Before we get into the challenge though, I'd like to remind you guys to subscribe since we're about 4,000 away from 100,000, which is incredible. Thank you all, I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be starting to stream on Twitch again starting on my birthday, Friday, October 8th, straight after the premiere of the Sun and Moon Professor Oak's Challenge, where I'll be starting the shiny only Professor Oak's Challenge of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I hope to see you all there. So I replaced Charmander with Bork the Entei because fire equals fire. Pretty simple reasoning, ripping through my rival Squirtle with 3 bites before proceeding in the direction of forward, shoutouts to Farfa. My initial goal was to get Entei to level 11 before the fight with Brock so that I'd have a little bit more power points since just bite is probably not going to be enough. And being able to burn Onyx would be a fantastic help in the face of Rock Tomb. Surely enough, with a few wild encounters, trainers in Viridian Forest, and the junior trainer here in Brock's gym, this was just enough to push Entei to level 11, so it's Brock time. He leads off with Geodude, so we just spam 2 bites, taking it out and leading into Onyx. Bite gets a critical in the first attack, but doesn't get the flinch, so Rock Tomb just does under half, lowering my speed and putting me in range for a high roll Rock Tomb to KO, but instead he just goes for Tackle, barely doing anything as a second bite puts him down for the count, winning me the Boulder Badge. Not gonna lie, I expected this fight to take a bunch more attempts, but turns out the hard man has gotten soft in the face of fire. Or from the biting, that would also make it soft. On the way to Cerulean, we of course took the path of least resistance, fighting the smallest amount of trainers possible, while grabbing our Spearow for the nice stick friend in Vermilion City. And of course, we grabbed the Dome Fossil on our way through Mount Moon. One choice at a time, we will stop out the deadliest meme. Actually, it's not the deadliest meme, it's the deadest meme. Haha, got him! Now in Cerulean City, our rival stands in the way of the EXP I need for Misty, so we're just gonna casually rip him a new one. He leads with Pidgeotto, so I of course go for Ember, but Bite does a lot more damage next turn when I go for it, and though it doesn't flinch, Tackle does miss, giving me the opening to KO with Ember next turn with Squirtle coming out second. This last thread of the team doesn't really do well in the face of Bite, as 2 of them gets it down to around half as an Ember burns it the next turn, giving me enough damage to KO with a 3rd Bite, leaving just Abra and Rattata on 15 HP. I'm not in range of a quick attack thankfully, so this fight's essentially free, with Bite KOing Abra, and Rattata barely missing the KO actually as it lands 2 quick attacks through a Bite, as Entei lives on 1 HP and fires off 2 Embers for the KO. Did I say Bite? I meant Ember, you know what I mean, you see the screen, you can read, I hope you can read unless you're not R9 Beats.
I can't read.
I did technically do this fight underleveled, so that was definitely losable, but at least we don't have to waste any time doing more attempts. The trainers on routes 24 and 25 are easy as always, getting Entei up to level 20 before the fight against Misty. She leads with Staryu, going down to 2 bites and wasting a turn with Harden, but Starmie comes in, outspeeds, and does over half with Water Pulse upon coming in, so Bite is unable to get any flinches, despite doing over half itself and making me lose. Well, I do a few more attempts because I'm a stubborn idiot who doesn't know when he's defeated, but eventually I figured that I could save in-game time if I just use Secret Power in the effort to paralyze the Starmie on the first turn, then use Paraflinch tactics with Bite, which turns out to really work and works in a half dozen attempts, taking it down and getting me the Cascade badge. I guess that ended up working out, that's cool, and since we're going by in-game time rather than real time, this probably ended up being the superior strategy. Moving on to our next battle on the list, it's Rival 3. Once again, we've got a Pidgeotto lead that happens to go down to 2 secret powers after a speed tie, and no accuracy drops to boot, so this should be a piece of cake. Wartortle's a bit harder of a nut to crack with its higher defenses, but Secret Power does around a third as he uses Withdraw, so I figured I'd swap to the Special Bite, getting a flinch, but the second doesn't as he lands Water Gun for quite a bit of damage. Fortunately for me though, the third bite does grab the knockout as he's forced to go into Eradicate as his last viable Pokemon. Secret Power does around 3/4 as he misses with Hyper Fang, giving me the perfect spot to pick him off with Bite, doing the same after outspeeding Kadabra next turn, winning me the fight and letting me pick up the HM for Cut. Actually, come to think of it, what would happen if I taught Entei the TM for Dig upon entering the SSN and used it in this battle? Would the boat sink? That seems like a plausible thing that could happen. Hey R9, go test this for me.
Wartortle, use Dig!
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen. Attention, all epic gamers. With thousands dead due to R9's poor decision, he's gonna have to pay some mountains of legal fees. However, there's still hope. You can go subscribe to him and watch his videos so that he gets ad revenue, so that he can pay for all of those legal fees, especially his video on Clock Tower. I hope to see you there. With my voiceover Pete days behind me, it's time to take on a criminal of my own with Mr. Warcrime himself, Lieutenant Surge. Electrocution certainly sounds like something you could be convicted of there, bud. Better keep that one to yourself. He leads off with Voltorb, so it dies to Dig. What about Pikachu? Well, I don't want to risk static, so I just used Ember, knocking him to healing range and making him waste all his super potions on Pikachu so that Raichu would have an easy KO. Smart, right? Well, Dig knocks him into the red, doesn't quite KO, and he paralyzes me with Thunder Wave, but it's no match for the mighty Ember. 3 badges down and 1 war criminal put away for good. That's an honest day's work, but we've got more to handle. And as you guys know, it's time for the newly patented stretch for entertainment purposes! Why does this area of the game drag on for so goddamn long? It's so boring and makes me just want to stop playing the game, but I want to make the content, but the game doesn't want me to make the content, instead it wants to flatten my face, which would be fine if it was a cute anime girl, but no, it's a digital file which does nothing for me, especially thanks to the fact that No Nut November's coming up. How the f did I land on that topic from this area in Pokemon? Oh well, but hey, at least I get to tell you guys of some new events coming up. As I said earlier in the video, I'll be resuming streaming on Twitch with the shiny-only Professor Oak's challenge of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which I can safely say will be 4 times a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for around 4 hours a day, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, except on Friday. I'll probably start whenever I upload a video and that gets done because we do the premiere, so you guys know what I'm talking about there. Also, we're getting back to 2 uploads a week. We'll be finishing off this series hopefully as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl come out, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I'm also aiming to have a Nuzlocke out either the day of the game's release or the weekend of, all depending on when I'm legally allowed to release content for the game. Anyway, back to the challenge. First things first on my arrival in Celadon is the battle against Erica. After all, may as well just use the little bit of EXP in here towards the battle against Giovanni and his rock types. She leads with Victory Bell, getting burned on the first Ember that does over half, but she doesn't opt to go for Stun Spore, instead going for Acid and barely doing any damage at all before going down to a second Ember. Strange, but Tangle is up second, and it goes down to an Ember that outspeeds, leaving just Vileplume. Now this thing, it does end up paralyzing me, but that's fine since Ember does around 45%. So a second brings it into the red as she lands a critical acid. Still not doing a boatload, but enough to be slightly worried. Next turn she heals with a hyper potion as I land a critical ember, leaving her to just go for one more acid as I take her out with another ember, completely avoiding being fully paralyzed and winning the rainbow badge. Maybe if you stop surrounding yourself with plants, you'd stop getting high all the time. High damage, that is, from this fire type. Anyway, the Rocket Hideout is no match for Entei, and neither is Giovanni really. Bite flinches Onyx as Dig KOs in 2 turns, even through Harden, leading to Rhyhorn who falls to a critical bite. Kangaskhan's all that's left, and Ember burns it on the first landing of it after Fake Out stalls me for 1 turn. So I just kept clicking it, taking moves until it was low enough to where burn damage and Dig would be enough to KO, winning me the fight pretty handily. Alright, I beat up the Mafia, where's your money? Don't have any? Gah, you guys run a frickin' sloppy ship. Maybe you need a Mafia accountant. Bet you Triff Gaming would be a great accountant. Anyway, moving on to the Pokemon Tower, we've got yet another battle against Mr. Rival Forval here, who leads off with Pidgeotto, getting flinched by my first bite and going down to the second. Great start as Wartortle comes in, barely damages me, and dies to 3 bites. Alright, let's keep it up. Growlithe isn't too bad either, thanks to Dig, and despite Intimidate, Dig still KOs in one shot. Fourth out is Execute, going down to Bite, as does Kadabra, winning me the battle. Geez, I bet you there's about 5 open grave spots upstairs. Better go put those boyos in there and reset the game. Anyway, carrying on, I went back to Celadon only to discover that I was just shy of enough coins to get the TM for Flamethrower, since having it earlier than level 51 would be very much appreciated. But that's fine, since there's still a few items I can pick up over in the Silph Company, giving me plenty enough selling materials for coins for Flamethrower. Alright, now the rest of the game should be a piece of cake. Koga's gym is next on my Red Dog site. That joke actually doesn't work that well because Entei's not really red, but it is fire type, so I will take it. Koga's not packing too much opposition to Flamethrower in Dig either, so I go ahead and blast his first Coughing with Flamethrower, taking it out and leading to Muck. 2 Flamethrowers are able to land before he uses Toxic, badly poisoning Entei, but that's negated thanks to a held Lumberry, allowing me the time to go for Dig. He sets up a Minimize, but thankfully it does nothing as Dig lands and KOs next turn, leading to Coughing number 2. Second verse, same as the first, and then again, that should probably be chorus if we're being honest about music, but you know, rhymes are apparently more important. Last up is Wheezing, who I made sure to bite first, so that I could keep it out of healing range, as 2 Flamethrowers are able to KO it from this range after 2 Sludges takes Entei down to 19 HP. Barely alive, but still tearing the house down, giving me my 5th badge. Alright, now that I've gotten basically everything handled that I can before the Silph Company rival fight, I figured that I'd fatten up Entei both physically and metaphorically with 7 rare candies, increasing my stats and giving me more of an edge against this rival fight, which is likely to be difficult thanks to over half of his team being more evolved now. He leads off with Pidgeot, who just so happens to hit a critical wing attack as its only thing that it lands, as it goes down to 2 Flamethrowers. No sand attacks is always appreciated though. Second out is Blastoise, and despite the only good attacking move it has is Water Gun, Bite still has trouble keeping up with it, and thanks to a lack of flinches, he is able to best me on my first attempt. So, instead I give Entei a Citrus Berry to keep my HP up a little during the fight, and hopefully outlast that Water Gun. Second time around, his Pidgeot actually gets burned by Flamethrower, and thanks to the lack of crit, it does only around a 1/4 the damage it did on the first attempt, letting me keep around 30 extra HP before going into Blastoise. Bite still has a bit of trouble keeping up with Water Gun, but this time I managed to keep up just to the point where if my last attack of Flamethrower didn't get a critical, I was done for, but thankfully it does, holding on with 19 HP remaining and going into Growlithe. The rest of his team falls pretty handily from here, as Growlithe goes down to Dig and Takedown Recoil, which does bring Entei down to 2 HP, but Execute and Alakazam both fall to Bite, awarding me yet another W in the column. I didn't expect for it to be so close, but that's fine. I healed up and went into Giovanni's battle, which should be the last hard battle for the game. He leads with Nidorino, who goes down to 2 Flamethrowers after landing a very weak Poison Sting leading to Rhyhorn, who only lands a single Fury attack for very minimal damage, as I KO with 2 Digs. Half his team remaining and Kangaskhan's the pick, only managing a single Rage before going down to 2 Flamethrowers. Last out is Nidoqueen, and I'm out of Flamethrower power points due to that rival battle, but that's fine. I should be able to handle it otherwise. Bite does minimal damage as she lands a Tail Whip, so I swap over to Dig, and while the first does trigger Poison Point, all she does is use another Tail Whip, giving me free reign to KO with a second Dig and win the fight with barely any resistance.
Yeah, I surrender!
Sabrina time, and she's got nothing on my Fire Dog, though her Kadabra is able to survive Bite. It flinches though and heal locks her, taking her out in a few turns, so it doesn't matter, but that is a little concerning. This leads into Mr. Mime as Bite does over half to it. Psybeam does pitiful damage in return, giving me the chance to hit one more for the KO, with Venomoth out third and getting burnt to dust as Alakazam is our 4th and final opponent, thankfully going down to 2 bites after landing a relatively powerful Psychic. Hey Sabrina, since you can see the future, can you tell me if Konami unbans Max C? No? Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Stop coat buying $700 Ultimate Rares. Anyway, there's not much between myself and Blaine to really talk about, so let's just jump into the battle. He leads off with Growlithe as I go with my newly taught Calm Mind Entei, and I used a few of them before he uses Roar and pulls out my HM Lapras. Right. Always forget to deposit the HM users for this gym. Attempt number 2, and I actually have some forethought to put the black glasses on Entei for Bite, so let's see how this goes. Intimidate does nothing as Growlithe just basically sits there and twiddles its metaphorical thumbs as I set up 6 Calm Minds, KOing itself, Ponyta, and Rapidash all with a single bite before Arcanine comes out. A 6+ Black Glasses boosted bite is still not enough to KO it though, but it does bring him into the red, heal locking Arcanine and eventually letting me take it down after a few more turns. As always, Calm Mind shatters this game's difficulty in half. Last gym leader is the Rocket Goblin himself, and this fight. Holy crap, this fight took forever! I could not figure out for the life of me how to do this without losing. Even with a little bit of grinding on the remainder of the skip trainers in here to get Entei to level 50, I still kept getting my ass kicked in. So I eventually just flew back to Celadon City to pick up the TM for Reflect, seeing as that will help against the rock and ground type moves as I set up Calm Mind. But I've also got to make sure that I don't have my speed reduced too much or else it'll be for nothing. Thankfully, Reflect ended up being just the move to help me take him down. Rhyhorn number 1 is up first, and the first 3 turns we exchange Calm Minds and Scary Faces, bringing me up to +3 special attack and defense while bringing me down to -6 speed. Thankfully, Rhyhorn's so abysmally slow that even Entei at -6 speed can outspeed, letting me set up a Reflect in the wake of an Earthquake. So I swapped to Bite, KOing and leading to Dugtrio. Flamethrower takes it down after it lands Earthquake, doing little damage, as the same happens with both Nidoqueen and Nidoking, leaving just a second Rhyhorn. I'm at extremely low HP, but my speed is still high enough to outspeed this one, despite it being 5 levels higher than the last Rhyhorn, going down to a single bite and winning me the fight. That was a lot of uses of speed and rhyming. Can't believe I spent over a half hour real time on this fight either. Like, the first time I used Reflect, it worked. And I am just so... It just goes to show how stubbornly obsessed I get with strategies when there's nothing on the line for losing, except for time, of course. Alright, last major battle before the Elite Four, and that's against the rival. I deposited my HM users so that Pidgeot couldn't use Whirlwind and negate all of my stat boosts, then proceeded to set up 4 Calm Minds through 4 wing attacks, KOing with Flamethrower afterwards. Rhyhorn falls to a Bite, leading to last threat in Blastoise, which Bite doesn't even do half to as he uses Water Gun. So I swap over to Flamethrower in the hopes that Stab and the massive power increase over Bite can bring me home, but Blastoise literally survives on what looks like 1 HP and proceeds to waste his turn using Rain Dance. Thankfully, this lets me just land another Bite to KO, leaving his Growlithe, Execute, and Alakazam to all fall to 1 bite apiece, winning me this fight. We're almost there, just 1 trek through the victory road and an extra rare candy, which will hopefully come in handy here. Leave a comment down below predicting what the final time will be for this run. Now let's rip into them. Floorline's probably the easiest of all of them, basically letting me set up 4 Calm Minds as I get hit with hail damage and 2 Surfs. But that's plenty enough to destroy Dugong and Cloyster with Flamethrower, leading into Lapras third. +4 stab Flamethrower is not able to KO her though, as Surf pulls me down to 2 HP. Thankfully the hail is already gone, letting her Citrus Berry activate and kick her out of healing range, which then means the second Flamethrower can KO, effectively winning me the battle from here since Bite KOs Slowbro and Flamethrower KOs Jinx. Pretty quick victory, but I think that's pretty early on gonna be the end of the line with those, since Bruno's actually pretty good at kicking my bum. Basically, any attempts that I had my speed lowered, I instantly reset since both Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan just deal too much damage. So I essentially have to pray that Onix either keeps going for Earthquake or misses Rock Tomb, but a few attempts in, I managed to get him down. He leads with Onix, so of course I set up Reflect and go for Calm Mind 3 times, which hilariously enough, he matches with 3 missed Rock Tombs in a row. So after that, I was like, well, there's no way he's missing another one, so I'm just gonna attack. Bite manages to KO Onix with a critical that probably didn't matter, leading to an expiration of Reflect as Hitmonchan comes in second. Flamethrower immediately puts him away as Machamp comes in, barely surviving Flamethrower, but it gets burned. But then his Citrus Berry kicks in and gives me a whirlwind of emotions, but he ends up getting to live another turn, hitting Scary Face and making it much harder for me to finish this fight. During the turn he heals though, I set up another Reflect, then nailed a Flamethrower as he sets up Bulk Up, barely missing the KO once again, but after he connects with Cross Chop and does big damage, Flamethrower is able to connect one final time, leaving just Hitmonlee in the second Onyx. The latter comes in, hitting an Earthquake for around 30 damage as Bite KOs, leaving just Hitmonlee. My Citrus Berry does kick in after that Earthquake though, basically negating it, so I should survive whatever Hitmonlee throws at me. Thankfully, it doesn't even matter as Mega Kick misses, letting Flamethrower connect and KO in one shot, giving me an entertaining, hard-fought victory against Bruno. Normally he's pretty easy, but this was kind of fun in comparison to most runs. Third up is Agatha, and she's a little difficult, as my first attempt was ruined by an errant Toxic hitting, and by her second Gengar outspeeding and nailing Sludge Bomb while I was on a hot streak for one-shots. Gengar has both Toxic and Confused Ray though, so there's no chance I can negate both. So Entei's just holding a Person Berry, which just so happens to be what Gengar goes for on the second attempt, letting me set up Calm Mind and KO Gengar, Golbat, Arbok, Gengar number 2, and Haunter with one Flamethrower each, winning me the fight. That was easier than expected. I figured there would be more attempts that included Poison and Stupidity over Confusion and no Stupidity. However, the person inflicting the Stupidity actually is Lance. Holy crap! I cannot beat him at level 54 with my current moveset. Gyarados has Dragon Rage, which can't be reduced in damage by Calm Mind or Reflect, and I cannot physically get enough off to survive his Aerodactyl coming in second. Sure, I can get the TMs for Sunny Day and Solar Beam, replace Flamethrower and Reflect, and theoretically be somewhat fine, but at the same time, that requires a whole new grind of 4,000 coins and a boatload of extra time added onto the clock. Not to mention, I probably wouldn't be able to set up, since Sunny Day would take a turn and I wouldn't get enough Calm Minds. So for the first time ever in a Legendary speedrun, I'm going double team strats. This of course is disappointing, and I'll even say that after completing the run, I modified the save to try Sunny Day and Solar Beam. Yeah, it didn't work at all, it just took longer than double team. Thankfully, that means I can just safely set up 6 double teams and 6 Calm Minds against Lance's Gyarados, then rip through his team with Bite and Flamethrower. My rival, on the other hand, is not nearly as easy. He's got a Pidgeot with Aerial Ace, so I have to distribute my double teams and Calm Minds equally so that I can do damage and KO Pidgeot before it KOs me, and be able to dodge whatever a second Pokemon throws at me. On my first attempt, I went for 3 double teams, then 3 Calm Minds, KOing with Flamethrower and leading into Rhydon. This is a fantastic Pokemon to be coming in second, since Rock Tomb inherently has bad accuracy, so maxing out both double team and Calm Mind was pretty easily done, sweeping the rest of his team with 1 Flamethrower on Rhydon, 2 bites on Blastoise, including a flinch to keep him from attacking, 1 bite for Alakazam, 1 Flamethrower for Exeggutor, and a few bites for Arcanine, since boy these things do not like going down to +6 anything, though it gets immediately heal locked and misses extreme speed on the last turn, making it pretty easy, letting me KO and end the run with a time of 3 hours and 43 minutes. Definitely respectable, but it makes me wonder how much faster I could have finished other runs with Double Team. Either way, next time on the Legendary Speedrun Series, we'll be finishing off Johto's Legendary Beast Trio, as well as all Legendaries in the Johto region with Raikou. I'll see you guys later. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that, since if you are, you're taking too long. I want to give a huge shout out to my $10 and above patrons, Justin Dimmenstein, Aaron Rhinesmith, Aiden Brandon, Alexander Abdi, Andy, Casper Kirkpatrick, Heidenflow, Jacob Johnson, Kyle Campbell, Michael Evans, Phoenix Fire, and Zeno. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you'd like to support as well, you can head over to my Patreon page, link in the description, where you can get access to stuff like videos early, an exclusive role in my Discord server, link also in the description, challenge requests, and much more. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you next time with another challenge video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.